Once you've mastered the controls and given yourself a week of continuous use, you will see that it is not possible to stay this clean all day using toilet paper and wet wipes. I don't care how much you're spending on toilet paper, you can never actually be clean using the standard Western method. You think you are, but you're not.
But I caught this the other day, and this was at the New York Post. New York Post has been posting a lot of crazy stories lately, and it's kind of funny when you hear stories like this, and especially when it comes from medical professionals overseas. It's kind of laughed at, when you see certain movies that are from the future and some of the things that they use and stuff like that, and then you hear some of these doctors today, they explain that don't use this, and you're wondering if they've been watching these movies. And what we're talking about is one of the greatest inventions to mankind, the toilet paper. Yes, folks, that's right. We're going to discuss toilet paper on this edition tonight. Who would think? You would think, hey, what story can we push tonight? Toilet paper. Well, there's a butt doctor, and I think it was in Australia, and this Australian doctor says we shouldn't be using toilet paper. And that kind of rums the joke over on Demolition Man, if you haven't.
He doesn't know how to use the three seashells.
I still don't understand how the hell you use the three seashells. Can you tell me? Well, we got the, like I said, this is New York Post. It was the most coveted commodity in Australia over the course of the pandemic, but an expert known as the butt doctor has revealed why he's not a fan of toilet paper, saying that wiping too vigorously after doing the poo can lead to a lot of serious issues. Queensland, Australian colorectal surgeon Bradley Morris, better known to his 13.2K followers and aforementioned moniker, the butt doctor, talked about all things number two in an interview with news.com in a podcast. Most of the problems I see with the skin around the anus are due to excessive attempts at hygiene, and it's very rare due to insensitive hygiene. It's a very sensitive area, Morris told Andrew Bucklow, answering one of the listeners' questions about whether it is dangerous to wipe too hard. I don't understand why we use toilet paper to wipe. If you imagine soiling your face or something else where you can't smear it off with toilet paper. So I think we need to readdress culturally what we do and maybe look at bidets and using water to wash water. That excessive wiping can traumatize the skin. Morris explained that if you could find yourself spending a long time wiping, there might be a reason for it. It might be your stool consistency. It might be that you've gotten an element of prolapse. It might be that you're not emptying properly, he said. We do to aim for the ghost where you wipe and there's nothing there. And it indicates that there's a well-formed stool that is passed intact and it's in entirety. And then a couple of wipes after that is probably okay. As for how, Morris acknowledged that everyone is different and what is normal for one person may not be normal for the next. That being said, up to 3 times a day or infrequently as once every 3 days is considered normal. He had also stern words for people who use their time on the toilet as an excuse to escape the world and scroll through their social media. That's a no-no, and it's keeping me in business, Morris said. We should go and get it done and get off the toilet. We're really about 2 to 3 minutes without straining, without being in a hurry to do it, but allowing it to happen effectively and as briskly as possible. Sitting for too long means you're predisposing yourself to problems with the anal canals like tearing and there are long-term issues with some muscles and being able to poo effectively furthermore. Another thing is that you're doing no service is to holding it in when you need to pass wind. Yeah, I've heard this before. You go to pass, people fart. They say, well, God, that's disgusting. I say, well, you need to. You can't hold it in. It's gas. It's methane gas. You're holding it in. I can't provide any science for this, but I think it's bad. A lot of problems that we see in the Western world, and I'm talking about abdominal pain, bloating, constipation. Lots of these conditions might be due to ignoring what normal cues to either fart or to do so poo, Morris said. Lots of us get up in the day and we'll be in a hurry and we'll be able to force ourselves to do poo before we go to the gym or before we go on a long ride, or we ignore those cues. Then by the time we get to the cues, we're stuck in traffic on the way to work and we got to ignore it, or we're sitting there in the office and we can't fart. So all of these will be absolute put into the increased pressure on the colon upstream, and I think it is responsible for a lot of diseases states that we haven't looked into. And I have a theory: holding in your farts makes these things worse, so let it rip. I agree with that. Let it rip on there, when you fart. Because I hear people that are like, oh, like I said, they're disgusted. Why are you farting and all that? I said, people fart. You got to release gas. It's gas. You burp, you're releasing gas. Fart, you're releasing gas. Now, as far as poo, if you wake up in the morning, you should at least be passing it out. It should be all in the morning and once in the evening. That's what I always say. Most doctors will tell you 1 to 3 times a day is a healthy colon for you. Holding it in, this is one thing he didn't say on there. Holding it in could make it a lot more worse, and you could have an accident. And I've seen that before. And I could tell you that people are not happy when you have accidents like that. And you've heard situations like that where people have had an accident. Hey, you go out drinking, you haven't done your business, and suddenly you can't hold it because you've been drinking, and you lose track of everything. And it's the same thing if you eat something spicy or eat something that doesn't agree with your stomach, and you already have your digestive tract ready to release, but then you have that backup behind it pushing on it. When you like I said, when you feel you gotta go do it before you do. And like I said, when you get up in the morning, do what you gotta do. When you come home, do what you gotta do. And it's plain and simple. Now, as far as wiping, I've heard a lot of people saying bidets are the way to go, and you're seeing more of a push for bidets, portable bidets, stuff that will attach to your toilet. You don't have to buy a separate toilet for it, especially for places that have like small apartments and stuff like that. Hey, listen, the Asians, they've had bidets for a long time on there. If you've never been to Japan, you see the bathroom and you go like, what is this, a washing fountain? No, it's a bidet. And they've been doing it for a long time now. For us to be getting into that, I can agree with that, healthy on there. But, sometimes water can't get rid of everything, and, sometimes you got to wipe a little bit. That's why they also made washcloths also until when you take a bath. Just watch the segment from our Madman Cafe show every Sunday night at 6 p.m. You can catch it over at Odyssey. Check in the description below for the link that will lead you to our Q2Cast TV site.